Hi there, how are you? Welcome back to another edition of Query and Schultz, brought to you by right here on ISC Sports Network. WGU Indiana. 10 is a big number, Derek, with WGU because been around since 2010. That means 10 years now, right? $10,000 scholarship they're giving out. We'll talk more about that later in the show. But very happy to have WGU on board, indiana.wgu.edu, because remember, Derek, ambition never sleeps. We also have St. Elmo Steakhouse. We have the American Dairy Association of Indiana and the shop. Fabulous T-shirts, including the one I'm wearing right now. Roslyn Bakeries. I used to love. I called them the turtle cookies. I don't know what they actually were called from Roslyn. It doesn't matter because they're not around anymore. But the shop has all kinds of fabulous T-shirts. 920 Broad Avenue or Carmel and Clay Terrace. Theshopindy.com for all of the fabulous looks. But what goes good with those cookies is a little milk, which we're going to have later in the show.
That's right. Yeah, we're actually running out of table space because, as you guys know,
we can always make table space.
The secret is out about this show. So everyone is just pouring in. How can I be part of the show? How can I be part of the show? How can I be? I actually had to mute my phone over the weekend just because I needed some family time. I needed to take a break.
Okay.
Because I'm just getting and we're so appreciative of all of our sponsors. Don't get me wrong, but man, it's just been a tidal wave.
This is what I love. Okay, what I love is the hyper-local nature of the people that are on board with the show. For example, the shop, as we talked about, Burger Chef, Roslyn Bakery, the Indy shirts, okay, Indy nostalgia with the shop. Winners Drink Milk, American Dairy Association, we know they provide the milk in Victory Lane for the Indianapolis 500, the greatest tradition in sports.
Sally and Jenny
St.
and the
Elmo
rest of the crew are
Steakhouse,
great.
an institution in Indianapolis.
100%.
And then, of course, WGU Indiana.
This is delicious, by the way. Have you had this?
Yep.
It's really good, just straight on the rocks.
Straight bourbon whiskey with dark cherry, bourbon vanilla beans from St. Elmo.
Did Greg say I get to take this home?
No, you do not.
Will anybody notice if, like, week by week it just goes down a little bit until it's
your dad's
empty?
actually going to come in and mark the bottle with a Sharpie.
Oh, God.
Not yesterday, but over the weekend, right? Colts, big win in Chicago. Derek, this was a game that – and you're going to have this over the course of an NFL season. Teams can win games in multiple ways. Yesterday, it was the defense of the Colts that won. And now the big question mark, I think, for Indianapolis when evaluating where they are is this, in fact, an elite defense, or is it one that has simply been fortunate to play some anemic offense?
I think it's this is going to sound like a cop-out answer. I think it's a combination, clearly, of those two things. But I think what we can establish through the first quarter of the season, 4 games isn't a huge sample size. This, Jake, statistically, has been the best defense in the NFL by far.
Right.
Like, not even close. The Colts are giving up 230 yards per game. That is 50 or 60 yards better than the second-best defense in the league so far. They're number 1 in scoring defense, 14 points a game, which is 4 or 5 points better than the next defense. They have been absolutely incredible. Yes, this hasn't exactly been a murderer's row of offenses or a murderer's row of quarterbacks, but they have been absolutely dismantling all of these opposing offenses through 4 weeks.
But in reality, and this is the thing that I always say, Derek, you can look at it and say, well, they haven't played any great juggernaut offenses yet. Yeah, but how many of them exist?
And they're crushing them.
You are putting yourself in position, and obviously there's a lot of football to be played. Kansas City's offense is electric. We know this, right? Patrick Mahomes is unbelievable. If Cam Newton is healthy, New England, you would think schematically is going to come up with ways to move the football. And Buffalo looks like they found something now. Josh Allen is very settled in. But outside of that –
got to mention Baltimore too.
In Baltimore, obviously. Lamar Jackson's incredible. But so the point being, yes, when you get into the postseason, then you're going to take on and really get a test of your defense. But until then, you just got to take care of who's on your schedule. Right?
Yeah, and honestly, Jake, I think this coming week – I know we're going to talk plenty about the Bears game from Sunday, but I think this coming week Cleveland is a very interesting test because that offense is legit good. And they hung almost a 50-burger in Dallas yesterday.
Burger.
And I know
That's
the Cowboys
ridiculous.
Aren't a great team, but anytime you throw around a 50-burger –
How are the Cowboys not a great team
in the NFL?
With some of the – how is Dallas not great?
They have been – really, they haven't been relevant as far as, like, playing for something that matters in over 25 years
It's
now.
unbelievable.
They have not even appeared in a conference championship game since their last Super Bowl in the 1995 season, January of 96. And they're one of only, I think, 5 or 6 teams that can say that. The Lions, the Redskins, the Browns. Literally.
That have not been in a conference title game.
The Jaguars have been in 3 conference championship games in that time. And the Jets have been in a couple of – they've been in 3. So, Yeah, it's been a long – I don't want to turn this into the Dallas Cowboys hour, but, yeah, it's been a long slog for America's team.
Are you concerned about the Colts offense in terms of their performance against Chicago? And, I think Star Wars numbers, I'm not saying that that's what was expected, but there was an expectation of the offense, and with Phillip Rivers, do you have concern?
Yes, I do. But first, let me preface by saying a couple of things. The injuries, I think, play a role. I think the Colts miss Marlon Mack more than people thought. I think people thought, oh, well, they've got Taylor, they've got Hines, they've got Wilkins. Who cares? Mack is a nice player who had a really nice season last year.
You have to
and
be
he knows
aware
the
of
offense, and he knows how to, Jonathan Taylor, it's still very much a work in progress for him. And also, you take out Paris Campbell, and you've had some injury issues outside of that at wide receiver. Never.
It's beautiful.
Michael Pittman.
Wonderful.
Of course, Jack Doyle missed last week's game.
Highly recommended.
So there have been some changes offensively in the last 4 weeks compared to what we thought was going to be on the field 4 weeks ago when the Colts began the season. But all of that said, Jake, I just think the running game has been in the lower half of the league. The offensive line has not played close to this ridiculous standard that we've put on them. They've certainly not been the best O-line in the league. I'm not sure if they've even been one of the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 best in the league so far, and that's got to improve. So, yeah, some people say, like my counterpart Greg Doyle on the podcast, well, they're winning, so let's focus on that. Yes, they're winning.
I mean, there's truth to that.
That is true, but you have to point these things out, Jake, because it's a constant critique of these teams, and we want to see if the Colts – I don't care if the Colts are better than the Jets and the Vikings. I want to know if they're better than the Chiefs and the Ravens.
Oftentimes, Derek, when the season comes to an end in elimination games, for whatever team you're talking about, usually the game that eliminates them in the postseason is a microcosm of the things that all took place over the course of the year coming into one fell swoop. So you've got to get those things cleaned up. Now, Phillip Rivers, if you look at what they did against Chicago, balance in spreading the ball around is not a problem. He was able to find a number, what did he connect with? 8 or 10 different receivers. But Zach Pascal, every quarterback has a target that becomes their safety net. And for Phillip Rivers, Mo Alley Cox, certainly the first couple of weeks, he was comfortable with him. And this is a guy in Phillip Rivers that's been used to throwing to his tight end. He did so with Antonio Gates forever in his Charger days. But maybe now Zach Pascal shows that he's the guy that Phillip Rivers on longer balls is comfortable with. But they've got to get more of a stretch passing game and get T.Y. Hilton involved.
Yeah, they missed on a play. Hilton might have had a touchdown.
Right.
And they missed on that. They didn't hit on that play, and that was on Rivers. That was a bad throw. He had some other good throws, I thought, overall. But yesterday, 16 of 29, 190 yards and a touchdown. The Bears came in yielding the lowest completion percentage in the league for opponents through 3 games. So I don't think Rivers struggling yesterday was a surprise to anybody that knew about the Bears defense. What was a surprise is that the run offense just never really got going. And it makes your job a lot harder as a quarterback when you can't rely on your rush offense. Also, Jake, I just think I very much respect Frank Reich. I think he's a very good head coach. I think the play calling's been a little bit bland and unimaginative, and I don't understand the insistence on running second and long, particularly with Hines. Hines is the kind of guy you need to get in space. Hines isn't a between the tackles guy, and yet the Colts seem content to just kind of hand him the ball on draws and let him go. And I thought some of those runs that they had yesterday, particularly on second and long, were doomed before the snap.
I noticed, and I'm not saying it's not fashionable because it's a decent looking shirt, but you have like a rib shirt on. Is that a sleepwear? That looks like the top half of some sort, like a pajama set.
What are you talking about? It's sweater weather, my man.
That's not a sweater.
This is a sweater.
No, that's not a sweater.
Yes, it is. You want to feel it?
Do you have on anything?
It's like a thermal sweater, but it's a sweater.
Do you have on it? No, that's a long sleeve shirt. Do you have anything on underneath it?
You want to see?
I do not.
Is that what you're saying?
No, that's
I don't
not
know
what
if viewers at home might want to see.
But a sweater, Derek, goes over something. A sweater goes over a dress shirt or a T-shirt. That's an undershirt.
No,
You're wearing an
I
undershirt.
I don't wear undershirts, so
I
rock sweaters. Well, I do have some padding here.
Okay.
But I rock sweaters.
You have a natural sweater.
An undershirt.
So you're double sweatering.
No, I don't want to look at it like that. I have a manly mane of chest.
If you were to look up sweater, I'll bet it says an accessory that goes on top of an underlining.
I would bet you 100% that it does not say that. But we will look it up during the first commercial break.
Look it up right now.
Okay. You can't wait till the break. We have a show to do here.
They're
rolling the cameras right now. We have to keep going.
Okay.
But this defense, Jake, is really what has kind of set the tone for the Colts. And I think expecting them to give up just 14 points per game throughout a season is a ridiculous expectation. So the offense is going to have to rise to come close to that level. But I still think just given his efficiency and his accuracy, outside of yesterday, Phillip Rivers entered with the highest completion percentage in the league through 3 games.
I'm trying to find a definition. All it's doing is sending me to places to buy one, none of which look like what you're wearing.
I think the Colts offense ultimately is going to be okay, but they need to get the offensive line to play to its level, and they need to get this rushing game going because that's what they want to do. They want to dictate everything with the run and have everything be an offshoot and a product of that. And if they can't do that, you can get by against the Bears kicking a bunch of 30-yard field goals and scoring 19 points. That's not going to fly against the Bills, the Steelers, the Ravens, the Chiefs, all these teams that we're talking about.
Correct?
I'm not sure. It might have been knit by somebody at the Gap.
A sweater is a knitted garment, typically with long sleeves, worn over the upper body. A close-knit wool sweater for icy weather.
Yeah, over the upper body, and that's what it is.
Is that not knitted?
A very nice upper body,
that is
I
not,
might say.
Okay.
Very nice.
Sure. I don't think it's knitted. If you were to, and I've used this before, if you were to use a magic wand, someone gives you a magic wand, and you can wave it over the Colts, and it is going to erase one area of deficiency. The area that is of most concern to you that you want to get erased would be what?
Ooh, that's a good question, which is rare from you. I think the area that I would – I don't know if this is like erase as much as – how about improve? So, give a spell or whatever. Expelliarmus. So, actually, that's to expel your arms. That wouldn't really work. Expecto Patronum, a really happy memory. So you're trying to repel Dementors.
Okay.
Expecto Patronum. So if I was to wave my wand, like, Harry Potter, everybody knows what I'm talking about at home. You seem to be
I'm not
confused.
12.
There are people of all ages who enjoy Harry Potter.
Okay.
But anyway, if I was to Expecto Patronum and, get my charm out and change something on the Colts, it would be this rush offense, Jake, because I think it dictates so much of what they want to do. It has to be, not only does it have to be good, it has to be elite because the Colts are built for it to be elite. They have the line, at least the 5 starters in place, and I think they have the stable of backs to make it work.
What's interesting is if you could take Jonathan Taylor and get him used to finding alternate lanes to get him out in space and use his speed, that's what you want him to do instead of just kind of getting tunnel visioned on a straightforward, even though I know he's a straightforward runner. Whereas Hines, on the other hand, to your point, you want to get in space, but they're using him straightforward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And this pass offense has to be better. I'm not disputing that. But I think there is a firmly defined ceiling for a 38-year-old Phillip Rivers who has Zach Pascal as his WR2 right now.
But what I'm saying, Derek,
I think there's a firmly
Pascal has
defined
emerged.
ceiling for that.
One game does not a season make, I realize. But, for example, yesterday, and we saw this last year out of Zach Pascal. Zach Pascal was probably their most consistent receiver a year ago. And, does that mean that Pascal now, instead of Hilton, becomes Phillip Rivers' safety net guy?
Yeah, but
is that what we're seeing unfold?
As good as he's been, and thank God that the Colts got Zach Pascal off of what was the Redskins practice squad. They got him somewhere.
He's been a nice player.
Yeah, they got him off the bargain table.
Is that where you got the sweater?
No, like I said, the Gap is a middle tier fashion store. It might have been a Gap outlet. I don't really remember.
Right.
Most of my shopping is done outlet wise. But stop getting me off track here, Jacob. We're trying to talk football. We're trying to talk Colts. Zach Pascal is a very solid piece, but if you're relying on Zach Pascal, then you're in trouble. You can't be an elite passing offense relying on Zach Pascal. Look at the Browns and what they've done, and look at the weapons that they have, and then look at the Colts' weapons on their offense. It's night and day. The Colts don't have the ingredients for this to be a great offense. I still think it can be a great rush offense, but a great offense overall, I think it can be good.
The Colts, by the way, obviously now go to Cleveland. Have we seen enough body of work? Because there are ebbs and flows with quarterbacks, young quarterbacks in particular. Have we seen enough body of work to say that indeed and in fact Baker Mayfield is a quarterback that's going to be the guy in Cleveland for a very long time?
No. He's been fine. Baker Mayfield.
He's had moments.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield's season goes in the tank here. I think that the Browns would have some questions that they would have to answer there, but It's tough, Jake, because you talk about sample size all the time. How many times have we crowned somebody way too early?
Right.
Look at Carson Wentz. That's a great example.
Yeah.
And Carson Wentz had a much better season in 2017 than anything that Baker Mayfield's
And
done
I was
so far this
stunned,
year.
by the way, not to detract or to sidetrack too much, but with Philadelphia going into San Francisco and people thought it was this great upset, San Francisco is the most banged-up team in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a guy – San Francisco's playing a guy at quarterback that I'm thinking, now where did he come from? And I look it up. It's a third-round pick out of Iowa. And I'm thinking, well, I probably watched this guy play 6 games in college. I have no memory of him. But – yes, to your point, Carson Wentz, remember in that first year this is the guy. You need like 45 games out of a quarterback before you can even make a determination, right?
Yeah, and even, Jared Goff, we kind of did that where he burst onto the scene his second year.
And
they
then
go to
in
the Super Bowl.
He had no clue how to read a defense.
Yeah, it just felt like Blake Bortles, to an extent, they got to the AFC Championship game, the Jaguars gave him a contract, and then, it just all the air went out of the balloon.
How was that?
Sorry, that wasn't supposed to be flatulence. That was the sound of air expelling from a balloon. I'm trying to keep it highbrow here, Jake.
When air expels from a balloon, it goes like that.
No, like the what you blow into on the balloon. If you let the air out real quick, it was.
No, to let the air out, you pull the top of the balloon, and then it makes more of a squeaking noise, like Squeaky, our clown, the friend.
See, what's really annoying to me is that I have a ton of life experiences, nearly 40 years to go back on, and you continue to diminish those. Like you're the expert on everything. I'm the expert on letting air out of balloons.
Let me tell you where life experience.
You let the air out of this show for 8.5 years.
Where life experience is shown is right here, Derek.
Mm-hmm.
This is much more silver than it was a year ago.
We've got a ton to talk about on this episode of Query and Schultz. We have plenty more to get to with the Colts. I have some eye-popping statistics, Jake, for the Colts defense in this historic start, just as it pertains to franchise history.
Okay.
Going all the way back to the Baltimore days. We'll go around the rest of Week 4 in the NFL, NBA Finals. Do you want to talk about your Reds? We don't need to talk about that, right? Baseball playoffs resuming.
We're still waiting for the Reds offense to wake up and realize the postseason is here.
Pacers head coaching search.
Joey Votto was like a ghost man on second.
Ryder Bullbleep, our winners drink milk. Winner of the week. We've got so much to get to. Stay with us.
You mentioned the Reds. I'm just going to go ahead and crack open the bourbon.
ISC Sports Network. Back with more next.
Indiana dairy farmers provide us with safe, pure foods for our tables. A responsibility that takes intuition, resolve, and determination to make sure their milk is good for you and delicious to taste. Their connection with our community runs deep, passed down through the generations, ensuring that milk is always available at your store. It's not easy being a dairy farmer, but the rewards have special meaning when you can feed Indiana's families every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
We're a different breed, aren't we? While others rest, we choose to work. Where others are content, we stay hungry. They may not see us coming, but we know exactly where we're going. You won't rest until you succeed. Neither will we.
The drive, the take, fouled, and it goes!
Lobbing it to the back of the end zone. They're going to say it's a touchdown!
Left foot gets through. Goal for Vargas. Hamilton will score!
Welcome back. It's Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. I'm Derek Schultz. Jake Query is over there as well.
Trying to find a real definition of sweater.
We're brought to you by our friends at WGU Indiana. Since 2010, more than 10,000 Hoosier lives have been changed with a degree from WGU Indiana, the state's affordable accredited online university. WGU Indiana believes that talent is universal, but opportunity is not. And as you mentioned, Jake, 10th anniversary, they're honoring that with a 10th anniversary scholarship. They're going to award 10 grand, 10 fat stacks to 10 newly enrolled students. To apply and learn more, visit indiana.wgu.edu.
There you go, WGU.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Kermit the Frog, when you're talking, sip my tea and not listening.
Yeah, I think our viewers at home would wish that you were sipping on that the entire time and they could hear more of me.
What else did you want to get to here?
Well, I teased going into the break that there were a lot of great historic stats for this Colts defense. I mean, we mentioned they're by far number one in yards allowed, and I get that, Monday Night Football and all of that, so week 4, while we're taping this, has not been totally completed, but they're not going to be passed for number one scoring defense and number one in yards allowed. But just as a franchise, Jake, they've only given up 948 yards through 4 games. That's their fewest in nearly 50 years. You have to go back to the 1971 Colts, where you were in diapers when
I was
that happened.
not around in 1971, Derek.
Sorry, 1972?
Correct.
Okay.
September of 72.
So I wasn't that far off. Colts have also given up the fewest, as I mentioned, the fewest yards in the league. Only 2 other teams have yielded fewer than 300 yards per game, and that's really the sign of an elite defense is around 300 yards a game. So the fact that, I don't care who they're playing, the fact that the Colts have given up 230 yards a game is insane.
Yeah, I mean, look, one of the things they have, it would seem, and this was by design. I mean, Derek, I remember when Chris Ballard first got here, and what did we say? Like, he was going to kind of do the drafts in year shifts, and there was going to be a year where it was, okay, he is now addressing the defense. And one thing Chris Ballard did, and I think made no bones about the fact what he wanted to do, was trade back and stockpile picks and get himself depth. And you don't ever want to see a team use free agency to build their team, but to complement their team through free agency is a different story. And, you look at or trades, either one. I mean, getting veterans. They have nicely complemented and cemented their defense with impact players that were acquired non-draft, but young players making plays, depth through the draft. We've already seen in the secondary, what do I always say, Derek? Offensive linemen and defensive secondary players in the NFL are like phone chargers. You can never have too many of them. You're going to lose some. Some of them just aren't going to work right. You can never have too many. And we've already seen this year where the Colts have had an injury bug hit in that unit, but yet they have the depth there. That's the thing to me that's very encouraging is they're able to pick up when other pieces are falling off.
Yeah, and the secondary has been impressive, especially considering the injury situation. I think Xavier Rhodes had kind of a rough start in Jacksonville, but since then has been terrific. How about Julian Blackmon? Julian Blackmon's made more plays and more wow plays in 3 games than Malik Hooker made in 3 years.
Well, and Julian Blackmon was one that, I mean, not unlike, to be honest with you, Bob Sanders. Bob Sanders fell to the Colts in the draft, and they kept sliding down until finally they realized he wasn't going to be around much longer because he was coming off an injury at Iowa. And that's the same thing with Blackmon. He's coming off an injury, so you're able to get him there. And people thought maybe that was a reach where he was taken, but so far so good.
And I also think we spent a lot of time talking about the linebackers. Darius Leonard, hopefully everything's okay with the groin, who had to leave the game yesterday. But the defensive line, Jake, has been terrific. DeForest Buckner has been as good as advertised. And even when you look at some of the other pieces on that line, I know Justin Houston deserves a lot of credit for what he's done and what a signing that's been, right? Because you were wondering how much he has left in the tank. The answer is a lot. But Danico Autry, Grover Stewart, I mean, they've done a really nice job up front and also generating pressure from the interior of the line, which is something that wreaks a lot of havoc on opposing quarterbacks.
Did you like Grover on Sesame Street?
Yeah, he was. Cookie Monster was my favorite, but I like Grover.
Is Grover related to Elmo? Do we know? Is he like an uncle maybe?
Kind of the same build. Yeah.
They're the same fella. They're just different colors. Elmo likes to be tickled.
Grover is bigger. He's taller, slimmer.
I don't think that's the case.
Elmo is a little shorter.
I think they came out of the same mold. It's just
stockier.
Blue versus red.
It's similar to us, where Grover is a little bit of a taller stature or whatever, but the star and the stockier one is Elmo, who would be me.
No. Now, I always get
They don't
Sesame
have Tickle
Street.
Me Grover.
I get Sesame Street
nobody
and the
would buy
Muppets
that.
confused, okay? Like, my favorite Muppet is Fozzie.
Okay.
Fozzie is the guy, right? Kermit the Frog is kind of the lead Muppet, but Fozzie's his right-hand man. When they went out to Hollywood, it was Fozzie that went with him. Fozzie's the glue guy.
First off, scientific fact that Animal is the best Muppet. So we could talk about the second best Muppet if you want to.
Animal's tough to argue, but he's not the central figure. Waka, waka, waka. You know what I mean?
He's the central figure.
No,
Trust
the
me.
central figure clearly is Kermit, and then Fozzie is his right-hand man.
Okay, I wasn't
like
expecting...
if Kermit fell ill, then Fozzie Bear becomes the lead Muppet. He takes over.
I wasn't
It's like in the
prepared
Muppet Constitution.
for this. I sent you the show rundown, right? There's nothing in there.
But you
about
mentioned
this.
Grover. You mentioned Grover, and off and running.
he's a football player for the Colts, and his first name is Grover.
Okay. Wouldn't it be? You know what? You know where Grover likes to go after the game for dinner?
Where's that?
Elmo, right here. Mm-hmm. He likes to get. See, he loves the St. Elmo Steakhouse straight bourbon. It's got hints of cherry and vanilla in it, but that is Grover and Elmo love it.
I actually like the old school names. I think it's cool.
Like Grover?
Yeah,
it's fine.
like name your kid Herman. Why do we stop doing that? Now everything's all trendy and stuff.
Chase. That's a very popular name now, right?
Well, I don't know. Chase was popular when I was a kid.
Peyton.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of. I actually knew somebody who named their two sons Peyton and Colt. Yeah. Look. Do what you want to do, guys. I don't want to be name judge guy. But like, name your dogs Peyton and Colt. You know what I mean? Name your kids names.
Did you see, by the way, Bruce Arians, head coach now in Tampa, was asked before the weekend's games. Now I'm the one doing it. Because he's now coaching Tom Brady. And Bruce Arians was an offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh, right? He was
Ben Roethlisberger.
Right. He was the quarterback's coach in Indianapolis when Peyton Manning was first here. Mm-hmm. He was obviously the interim and then, coach for the Colts when Andrew Luck was here. And he was asked if he could take the best part of each quarterback he's worked with to put together the perfect quarterback. Who would he take off each part? And he said the perfect quarterback already existed, and it's Andrew Luck.
Yeah, I saw that. It stings a little bit. It twists the knife, right? But
to say the least.
To be fair, Bruce Arians is part of and I loved his aggressive style, but it was open season in 2012 on Andrew Luck physically. I mean, they just threw him out there and they said, let's just go for it here.
One of the things with Andrew Luck, Derek, that I think that we don't talk enough about is, Andrew Luck's athleticism and his size alone. I remember Marvin Harrison when the Colts were playing on Monday Night Football, the Monday Night Miracle game, and Keyshawn Johnson was mic'd up. And Marvin Harrison, when he would catch balls, would go down or would quickly get out of bounds. And Keyshawn Johnson, mic'd up, was mocking that. Is that how he gets his numbers? That's how he gets his numbers? Well, obviously Marvin Harrison played much longer in the NFL than did Keyshawn Johnson. Better player in general, but, was able to really extend his career. Andrew Luck, I think the Colts absolutely were adamant at times about teaching Andrew Luck to slide, and at times, yes, the offensive line was not good when Andrew Luck was here, but Andrew Luck's playing style and the chances he took put Andrew Luck in as much peril as anything that happened around him going on.
Yeah, I agree. And, part of me was kind of like, I didn't even want to see it yesterday. You know what I mean? I want to focus on the 2020 Colts, and I've officially mentally moved on from Andrew Luck, but it's always going to sting wondering
if
what
you had to bet, did Andrew Luck watch the Colts game against the Bears?
I 100% believe that he keeps up. I don't know if that's going to be the case 10 years from now when a lot of his teammates are gone, the guys that he played with, but for sure. He and Anthony Costanzo are best friends. I mean, you would watch, your buddy Dewey played basketball at Northwestern, right? You would watch him. I mean, we're all human beings at the end of the day. So I think Andrew Luck still loves the franchise.
I didn't
and
retire
loves
from
his
Northwestern. I had no chance of playing at Northwestern.
but I'm just saying.
I get it.
You support your friends and you support the guys that went to war with you. I always hate that term. Can we edit that term out? I hate sports.
Why do you say stuff and then ask for it to be edited out? Just
well,
don't say it.
That's the beauty of TV.
Just don't say it, right?
Unlike live radio, we're actually taping this, so we can take out all that Fozzie Bear junk.
No, that was great. That was the best segment we've done.
Well, nobody's going to see it, so.
Okay. Yeah.
Even right now, this is probably all going to hit the cutting room
floor. What about when we mentioned Elmo?
Wait, hold on. Do the 3, 2, 1, and then do the St. Elmo, and then we'll resume taping.
What about when we mentioned Elmo?
3, 2, 1.
It's very important to keep in there.
How about other week 4 NFL thoughts? Because let's start with the division. We haven't seen Tennessee play yet.
Boy, how about Houston?
Yeah, and at this point, Jake, when you're 0-4, you're toast.
Bill O'Brien can't be long for the world down there, right?
You're 0-4 and you're toast, I think. And I was one of those people that really did think that just because of Watson, they would be able to survive.
But they're not using him correctly.
You can't lose to Minnesota. That was a must. And I hate throwing around the term must win, but that absolutely was a must win game for them.
It's amazing to me. Bill O'Brien just can't seem to figure out what they want to be offensively. They just. I mean, you have. Look, admittedly, I am an apologist for Deshaun Watson because I've watched the kid play like every snap when he was in college, and a lot of them when he's been in Houston. He's a very good player. Getting rid of Hopkins, his favorite target, who is, obviously a great player. I just don't understand the Bill O'Brien fascination down there.
Yeah, me neither. But they've given him kind of the keys to the kingdom.
I know.
He's called the shots and all of that.
It's a big kingdom, too.
So I think it's essentially a two-team race now in the AFC South. Jacksonville was never going to be in the division race. I know they won week 1, but that's not a team that is built to be a playoff team right now.
And who knows what's going on
But
with
Houston
Tennessee.
was, Jake, they pushed all in. I mean, they made big trades. They traded their picks. They're tapped out on cap space. 5 tuds for Tom Brady in that comeback win against the Chargers.
Touchdowns.
Yeah, tutties.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 tutty tosses.
I watched a lot of that game, and Brady, one of the things that I've noticed about Tom Brady now, and maybe this has always been the way he has thrown the football, but he throws a lot of very low passes, almost like a downward pass. And so I watched him, and I thought to myself, boy, this has the potential to be sad. This has the potential to be Johnny Unitas late in his career with the Chargers, or Joe Namath with the Rams. And then he gets into rhythm and he gets going, and he's able to extend out, and before you know it, he's up over 380 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's a rhythm quarterback, and Bruce Arians is coming up with plays to get him in rhythm. And that was a good game. Yet, did you watch it? Did you watch it?
No.
It was good.
I saw that they were down, and what's been incredible about this season so far, Jake, is how routine these comebacks have been.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the stat was. I saw something the other day that 5 teams have come back this season from 14-plus point deficits. That very rarely happens. Now, some of that is Falcons related.
Yeah.
but overall, I mean, even look yesterday, Dallas at least scared Cleveland. They had
It's
to
not
have that
yesterday, Derek. It's over the weekend.
Sorry. They had to have that long clinching run by Odell Beckham to really salt that game away, and Cleveland was trashing them.
We talked last week about going back and staying in the AFC. I think Buffalo's for real.
Yeah, me too. I don't think we're talking about Pittsburgh enough either. I've been really impressed by what they've done.
I'd agree with that.
Pittsburgh's
to me, been off the radar for sure.
And I think part of this is due to the fact that the NFC East is such a complete trash fire. I think most of the power resides in the AFC. Like, you've got Seattle in the NFC. Green Bay, I think, is there. The South is hard to make sense of. Like, I don't really know. I don't think the Bucs are necessarily that great. The Saints are whatever. The Panthers are whatever. I think a lot of the power resides in the AFC from what we've seen through the first 4 weeks.
In the AFC, and it's not a power team, but I watched a lot of them. Who looks like they – and again, going back to our previous conversation, so much has to happen before you can definitely and definitively – repetitive there, but before you can definitively make a statement about a quarterback. But who looks like they may have a promising young quarterback that could be there a long time?
In the AFC?
Yes.
Hit me with it.
Phillip Rivers' old team.
Yeah.
The Chargers.
Herbert's made some really impressive throws.
His ability
and plays in these first couple of weeks.
Herbert's ability for the Chargers to stay in the pocket and composed as the pocket's collapsing and still deliver the ball. And he accidentally ends up starting in a game because we find out that the Chargers team doctors erroneously deflated Tyrod Taylor's lungs while giving him a cortisone shot. Yeah. Not good. He's a promising young player. And in watching him, he plays well beyond his years in terms of just looking composed out there. He's got the size, seemingly has the mental makeup. I think he's going to be a fun player to watch for a long time.
Yeah, we're kind of seeing that as we already saw Eli Manning exit, but as we see kind of the end stages here for Brady and Rivers and Roethlisberger, it's exciting to see potentially a new crop of young quarterbacks.
Who are, back to your point about the disparity between the depth of the AFC and the NFC, who are the 3 best teams in the NFC?
Seattle, Green Bay.
Green Bay would have to be second, yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Am I missing somebody that's obvious?
I don't think so. Tampa? They're just kind of there, right?
I guess. I don't know. Nobody else has really jumped out to me.
The funny thing is, you almost like stereotypically or out of habit want to say New Orleans. But
like even the Rams.
let's be honest, Drew Brees also looks like he's.
The Rams were kind of messing around
brakes big
yesterday
time.
against a terrible Giants team. What, they score 17 points? I think the Rams are okay. I don't think the Saints and that Bears team from yesterday. The Bears. It was a miracle that they were 3-0.
How about a sleeper here in the NFC? Partially because of where they are. We hardly ever talk about them. Even in a year they went to the Super Bowl, they were hardly ever talked about. Arizona.
Maybe, but that was a really disappointing loss that they had yesterday.
I over the weekend, Eric. Understood. And they have a young quarterback, but he looks to be a young quarterback that's pretty skilled.
Mm-hmm.
And as that comes along, could they – and in that division, I mean, obviously you've got Seattle, but, you're going to be able to play the Rams twice.
It's just –
Are the Rams San Francisco if they're not
it's
healthy?
It's just tough because it's so much easier to just rattle off the teams that
I'll
stink.
say Arizona wins 10 games.
In the NFC than the
Arizona
teams that are
win
good.
10 games.
I mean, the Eagles stink.
They're terrible.
Washington, whatever they're calling themselves, stink. The Cowboys stink. The Giants are terrible.
Well, that whole division's terrible.
The Giants might go 1-15, and that's being generous that they win a game. I don't think the Vikings are any good. The Lions have struggled. The Falcons in the NFC South is kind of a mess.
The Vikings are a little
The Niners are just too banged up.
The Vikings are enigmatic because they have not played well, but there was so much expectation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there was expectation they'd be better than this.
Sure.
Yeah, but I don't know if, were they a contender? I'm not sure, but I expected the Vikings to be like a 9-7-ish level team.
Did you see touchdown run from Teddy Bridgewater?
No.
Well, what were you doing? Weren't you
Jake, I
prepared?
did not see every play from yesterday's game. I had to punch the clock for Mr. Bezos.
Oh.
So, yeah, I missed a lot of the early action.
So, basically, you and Teddy Bridgewater doing the same thing yesterday, delivering, right?
I don't actually deliver.
You drive
no.
the little van with the arrow thing on the side?
I take the boxes. They come to us. We're the last place out. You scan the boxes for final scan, and then you sort for same day.
Same day.
Yeah, same day. So if you order something on Amazon that is same day, there's a better than decent chance that I've touched it. So if you want me to touch your package, if you order in Central Indiana, if you order something same day, then there's a chance that I touched your package.
That sounds uncomfortable and awkward.
No, I mean, like, get your head out of the gutter. Can we have a mature conversation about? I'm talking about like an actual, like your box. I can touch your box.
That also, again,
if you order same day.
So, whether it be a package or a box, you might touch it.
Yes.
Okay.
Or somebody else. I mean, we've got about a dozen people on the same day shift that I work. Okay. So they might touch your box or your package. Okay. But it could be me. So just think about it. I mean, next time you open, it's kind of like when I mentioned that Unilever factory for a lot of the soaps and shampoos is located in my hometown of Trumbull, Connecticut. So when you're in the shower, if you look at the back of your shampoo bottle, you might think of me while you're in the shower.
Oh, okay. Does it say Trumbull, Connecticut on the bottle?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unilever.
See, this is the thing. You're jealous that I get to do this.
Does
that I get to work.
Does that
for
factory have little bubbles that
this
come out of it?
multi-billion-dollar company that they wanted me?
How does the factory smell? Did you drive
to
past
come work for them? And that my hometown is a big shampoo
manufacturer. Does it take a long time for
manufacturer.
everybody to come out of the building at the end of the shift?
Why's that?
Well, I mean, does it have to kind of squeeze out? Does little bubbles come up or anything like that from the Unilever factory?
Oh, I don't know. I've never been by there.
How big is your town?
It's pretty big, about 40K.
There's a huge factory in your town making products that are going all over the world.
It's in the Trumbull Business Park.
And yet you never drove past it?
No, I never went over there.
Okay. All right, what are we doing next?
We got plenty more to get to. Jake, I sent you the show rundown, so I really don't like when you're just like, whoa, what are we talking about now?
Well,
we need to have some organization.
I've got a filter that blocks the spam.
We're going to move on from the NFL. NBA Finals, the Heat get in the win column as we approach Game 4. Pacers head coaching search as that's continuing. And we've got all of our features to get to. American Dairy Association of Indiana, as well as Buy It or Bull Bleep from our friends at the shop. It's Corey and Schultz. Plenty more to get to. ISC Sports Network comes your way next.
We're a different breed, aren't we? While others rest, we choose to work. Where others are content, we stay hungry. They may not see us coming, but we know exactly where we're going. You won't rest until you succeed. Neither will we.
At an Indiana dairy farm, long workdays stretch into more labor after sunset. A newborn calf needs watching, barn needs cleaning, tractor needs some handiwork for tomorrow's tasks. Just like in your own home, the day's chores are never done until the family beds down for the night. Dairy farmers and their families share the same dream with all of us, that what we all do is worthwhile. Bringing to market pure, safe, and healthy dairy foods is what they do, from Indiana's dairy families to ours every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Oh my God!
We are ripping fast today.
And how hard can it be, right?
These are now selling for about $3,500. So we're back to our old ways of pulling rocks.
Act like idiots on camera, open cards, and talk about the hobby.
You can't get enough of them.
You can't get enough of us. Good one, J-Man.
This is the worst scandal. This might
This
even
is
be
worse than steroid. Not so fast.
Are you going to watch the XFL?
I'll probably watch a little bit of it.
You want to go through and pick some games?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I really don't.
Welcome back to Query and Schultz here on ISC Sports Network. This segment of the show brought to you by the fabulous bourbon at St. Elmo Steakhouse. St. Elmo Steakhouse, an Indianapolis institution, been around since 1902. But now with their bourbon that if you've ever had the Elmo Cola, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But the bourbon itself is now available. As a matter of fact, this bourbon, which is fabulous, dark cherry, hint of vanilla beans in it, and it is available for you. There are several reasons why you might want to enjoy it. Number one, just because you're Hoosier through and through, and so too is St. Elmo. Maybe because it's 2020 and you're like, you know what, I just need something to kick back and relax with. Or maybe you want to mix it with that Elmo Cola. You can find St. Elmo bourbon, Derek, at all of the fabulous retailers around central Indiana, such as Kroger, right?
Yeah, Kroger's, Myers, Target's.
It's just Kroger. It's just Target.
We're in Indiana, Jake.
I know we
And
are.
this even says Indianapolis, Indiana on the bottle. So you have to be as Hoosier as possible here.
Liquor stores in the area as well.
It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I don't know if that's appropriate. We can get you a glass.
Okay. It's wonderful.
Just saying it's good. You want a brown bag to put?
No, this is way too.
I'm just saying you're
class
just swinging it. You know, this is – you got to be classy. It's St. Elmo
I am
Steakhouse.
Derek,
You get
when
a
you're
nice
holding
glass. This is a classy bourbon.
As case by the or as evidenced by the fact that you're holding it up with a
delicious, too.
pajama shirt, it makes anything classy.
Really, really good. NBA Finals, Heat get in the win column. What a performance from Jimmy Butler in Game 3. Yeah. My God, a triple-double, 40, 11,
40
and 13.
point triple-double, yep.
On 20 shots to score 40 points
I think
and no
thing,
threes.
Look, he knew that he had to elevate because, you know, Miami is very dependent upon, you know, Bam Adebayo, and then as well, you know, Goran Dragic has not been a guy that's a mainline NBA player, but he's been a really steady piece for Miami. Tyler Hero has played really well for them in the postseason, but at the same time, when you're talking about a young guy like that, you don't know really what you're going to get one game to the next, even though he's been pretty consistent. But the 39-point game, for example, that he came up with against Boston, you're not going to get that night in and night out. Jimmy Butler was a guy that was brought there to be exactly that guy.
Yeah, and he put them on his back, as he should. That's what great teams do.
Did it
great
bother
players
you
do.
that with a half a second to go, L.A. just left the court?
No, I stopped caring about that stuff. It'll make for Skip Bayless and people like that. They want to eat that stuff
obviously.
Up. Yeah, but I don't really care about that. I still think it's an extreme long shot, Jake, that the Heat can find a way. They've taken one, but to win 4 out of 5 against this fully stocked Lakers team with LeBron and AD, with no Bam and with no Dragic, is going to be a really, really tough thing for them.
I thought.
But I'm glad that at least we can kind of make this a series.
Right.
Like, I don't know about you. I don't even tune in to series when it's 3-0 for Game 4. I don't even watch.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm out at that point.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
You know, a lot has been made, Derek, over the alarming dip in the television ratings for the NBA Finals. And I understand why people want to bang on that and point that out. But you have to look at sports numbers right now in general. You know, ratings are down for example, this show, okay? There's a very good chance if you're watching this right now, you're not watching it on a measured, metered television rating. You're watching it, online. You're watching it in a number of different
Twitter
places.
live stream.
Twitter live stream. You know, there are so many different places now where people can consume. Example given. I watched the Clemson game Saturday night on YouTube television. in no way, shape, or form does the ACC network or anybody get credit for that if I was metered the ratings of that. The U.S. Open was down 56%. The Kentucky Derby was down like 61% from last year. The Indianapolis 500 was down 32%. All ratings are down for a number of reasons. Number one, the ways in which you ingest it. More and more people are now taking in things in ways that are not metered or measured, a la the different streaming platforms or the different ways, cord cutting. And then secondly, date equity is important, Derek. It's October. It's chilly outside. People are not used to thinking about, hey, the NBA Finals are tonight.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. It's not the middle of the summer.
And, of course, you're now, you have all the sports in one place.
And for the most part, the NBA is used to having the stage all to themselves. I know the Stanley Cup Final sometimes bleeds.
Which also was way down.
A little bit into the NBA Finals. But for the most part, the NBA Finals is the only game in town outside of, the middle of the baseball season,
right,
where you're just kind of in the monotony of 162 games. So I'm not sweating the NBA Finals. People are going to make those numbers say whatever they want. But I was hoping to see a Heat win last night just because I want this series to be competitive.
Right. You did not want to see – I think a lot of people anticipated that Miami would be swept out by whoever they were going to face in the West. Obviously, they knew
once
it was
the injuries happened. Yes, I really did think that the Heat were going to be fully.
They just played so well together, but look, give Eric Spoelstra a ton of credit because two of their most important pieces are out, and Jimmy Butler gets that credit too. Mm-hmm. But to be able to schematically change things to really put it on Jimmy Butler and say, "You're the guy. We're pushing in now." How they go from here on out is going to be interesting because I would anticipate in Game 4 that LeBron James is going to come up with a triple-double performance.
Yeah, because he's LeBron. Right. And I think, kind of the jawing back and forth, which I love. I love that Butler does that. But I think that LeBron's going to put it on himself to really kind of make a statement in Game 4. I think they were cool kind of letting the other night get away from them. But I think Game 4, I think the Lakers are going to ultimately end up winning this series in 5.
That's fair. Probably 6 at the most.
Unfortunately, the Heat didn't have all the bullets in the gun. But maybe it was too optimistic for me to think that the Heat were going to carry and ride this wave all the way through to an NBA championship. Pacers head coaching search may or may not be rounding third. I would expect in the next 2 weeks we'll get an answer, but another round of interviews this week. Dave Yeager, head coach with both Memphis and who was the other one he was with? Minnesota?
Sacramento, wasn't he?
Sacramento, that's right. I knew that it was another irrelevant franchise. Darvin Ham, the assistant with the Bucks.
Darvin Ham's intriguing.
Chauncey Billups, apparently they're going to talk to
Darvin Ham was a Pacer.
Yeah.
Not for very long.
He also, the most famous moment in Darvin Ham's career,
right?
In an NCAA tournament game.
Yeah.
And they beat Carolina and went to the Sweet 16.
Cover of Sports Illustrated.
Did they beat Carolina? They were playing Carolina when it happened, right?
I think they did.
Yeah, okay. See, when you're Jake, and you've talked about this before, when you're 13 years old, there is no time in your life that you have more sports knowledge than when you're like 13.
13 years old. When I was 13, the Final Four was in Reunion Arena in Dallas, Texas, and it featured Kansas, Duke, Louisville, and LSU, I believe, was the fourth. And Louisville defeated Duke 72-69 for the national championship. Purvis Ellison was the most outstanding player.
It's just stupid. Especially NCAA tournament-wise, because they used to have the distinctive courts.
That was the year Indiana was defeated by Cleveland State.
You remember the seeds and all of that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, LSU was an 11 seed. Can you look that up and fact-check me?
No, that's right, because until George Mason did it, they were the lowest seed.
What about the final score? Can you fact-check the final score?
LSU, Indiana?
No, the 1986 national championship game. I'm fairly certain it was 72-69 Louisville over Duke. Fairly certain of that.
Okay, I'll look it up here real quick just to feed your ego. Let's see. Louisville
Reunion
Duke
Arena in Dallas,
box
Texas.
score, 72 for the Cards, 69. Okay. Nice for Duke.
Mm-hmm. 13 years old, you're right. You remember everything.
Can we get back into the Pacers?
Sure. In the beginning of the Pacers coaching search, Mike D'Antoni's name was thrown around a lot. And that would be a seismic change because you're going from a coach in Nate McMillan that basically was very defensive-oriented to a guy, Mike D'Antonio, that's very pick-and-roll, offensive, wide-open oriented. Miles Turner expressing allegedly to confidants that he would be looking to move out of Indiana. Is that because he thought D'Antoni would be coming and be playing a pace that didn't suit Miles Turner. I think that's possible. D'Antoni has connections to some of the brass with Indiana, although I don't think that really comes into play very heavily. He is the most tenured of the coaches that are being discussed, but he would be also the heftiest price tag. Chauncey Billups is a little bit intriguing, and there's always that trend of, taking guys out of the broadcast booth and giving them an opportunity. I would like to see a guy, and I don't want to retread per se, but it's very difficult to assess what a coach's coaching prowess is when their opportunity that they were given happened strictly in Sacramento.
Yeah, I totally agree.
You know what I mean?
And they had some success in Memphis a little bit. What I don't love is that he's a defensive-minded guy, and I'd really rather the Pacers bring in an offensive-minded guy, especially if they're planning to retain Dan Burke as their lead defensive assistant. But overall, again, this isn't going to make for a great show. I'm not firmly against any of these names because I just don't know. Like, I have no idea how Darvin Ham would do as an NBA head coach, or Becky Hammon, or even Chauncey Billups, even though I'm a little more skeptical about just throwing some point guard who has no coaching experience in there.
They're going to have to do it pretty soon because the NBA season is going to start. Originally, it was, December, and then I still think Christmas Day is probably when the season gets underway, although it could go into January. But they're going to have to do a lot of stuff here fairly quickly.
Yeah, but I don't know if you necessarily need a coach for free agency and some of this other stuff. I think the Pacers
well, but it'd be nice to know what system you're getting the groceries for, right? I mean, you can't go out, Derek, and go to Kroger and bring home
Kroger's.
Okay. You can't go to Kroger and bring home a bunch of steaks if then you realize that the chef your wife hired is a vegetarian.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like that analogy.
Why not?
I don't think that connects.
I mean, granted, the chef isn't sitting down and eating with you, but one would think if they're a vegetarian, they probably don't have a lot of experience in cooking meat, right?
A great Muppet, the Swedish chef.
He is good.
Yeah.
He is good. I get the Swedish chef a little bit confused with Beaker.
Mm-hmm. Mimi, right? Wait, that's Roadrunner.
Bunsen Honeydew. Actually, I take that back. Bunsen Honeydew, who is the scientist that works with Beaker, I get Bunsen Honeydew mixed up with the Swedish chef.
Why?
I don't know why. I just do.
Bunsen Honeydew's like the actual person that talks. He doesn't just beep, right?
Beaker's the guy that
yeah.
that's Beaker.
And then the chef is
Beaker. Yes, but Beaker is a beaker. Like when he's an actual beaker.
I am. You mentioned D'Antoni. What's interesting to me is that we thought there was going to be this great market for him, and now these teams are naming.
Do you think anybody's still watching it?
Head coaches.
We're like 40 minutes into this dog and pony show.
We haven't even gotten to the features yet, or the fact that I got a brand new coat that I got a sick deal on that I want to tell people about.
Okay. Did it come with your pajama top?
It did not, Jake. It was from a different.
Did it have a little pocket right here?
I'll show it to you. I've got it right here.
Do you have the matching pants to go with the rest of the outfit?
Well, it's called the tees. We're going to come back, and I'm going to debut my brand new winter coat because it was like 32 degrees this morning in Indianapolis. And we're going to talk more sports and also get to some of our features. The Winners Drink Milk Winner of the Week, brought to you by our friends at the American Dairy Association Indiana. Also, Biter Bowl Bleep coming your way in just a little bit. It's Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Brewer jams it home.
That ball wiggles in and into the back of the net.
A little fireworks in the first half. Throw it up for Tillman. Whoa, my goodness.
122-6-0 for Penn. What a swim. Six of them.
Indiana dairy farmers provide us with safe, pure foods for our tables. A responsibility that takes intuition, resolve, and determination to make sure their milk is good for you and delicious to taste. Their connection with our community runs deep, passed down through the generations, ensuring that milk is always available at your store. It's not easy being a dairy farmer, but the rewards have special meaning when you can feed Indiana's families every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
We're a different breed, aren't we? While others rest, we choose to work. Where others are content, we stay hungry. They may not see us coming, but we know exactly where we're going. You won't rest until you succeed. Neither will we.
Welcome back, Corey and Schultz, ISU Sports Network, brought to you by our friends at WGU Indiana. Also, of course, our friends at The Shop. Jake, we've got Byder Bull Bleep coming up, but The Shop Indy has been bringing sports and hometown apparel to the Indy area since 2011, as you can see with Jake's shirt there. It doesn't hug him as well as The Shop shirts hug me.
Raise up so you can read the whole thing.
We'll make that work anyway. From our humble beginnings in garages and basements, we've now grown to have a couple of retail locations, Broad Ripple and Carmel. They're in Clay Terrace. Also online at theshopindy.com, Roslyn Bakery, Burger Chef, all the
Burger
Indy
Chef
stuff.
Jeff, buddy.
I have the Busch Stadium shirt,
We're
which is
Burger
sweet.
Chef and Jeff.
It's great. And we're working on, we're just kind of brainstorming ideas right now. This has been a long process because it's a very important decision to make. We're working on a Corey and Schultz shirt.
They made one for us. It was fabulous. Q and the Little Man.
No, this is going to be a new
Are they
shirt.
gonna do that again?
Where I have a lot more creative control over the contents of the shirt. It may or may not involve a rocket ship. Just a little, just going to sprinkle on a little bit of that tease there. And you'll soon be able to get it at theshopindy.com or QuarryandSchultz.com.
You know who actually was on a rocket ship? That Pigs in Space on the Muppets. Remember that?
No, I don't.
Pigs in Space.
I'm not as much of a Muppets fan as you were.
The Muppet Show was the pinnacle of my childhood. No question.
Yeah, no.
The pinnacle of the show was my childhood.
Yeah, 1970s pop culture. Yeah, it's right in your wheelhouse, my
Very
man.
popular stuff, yes.
We got to get to a new feature.
Okay.
Our friends at the American Dairy Association Indiana, like I said, my phone's been ringing off the hook. We want to be part of the show. We want to be part of the show. We want to be part of the show. So Sally, Jenny, and the rest of the crew over there, who have always been awesome to us in the many years that we've been together, not only brought us some milk,
chocolate milk right here, Derek,
but they are also sponsoring a new segment, the Winners Drink Milk, Winner of the Week.
Chocolate milk is a fabulous way to replenish after a workout, right?
It's funny that you say that, Jake, because experts agree that the body requires immediate fuel to recover and rehydrate during the first 30 minutes after a workout, and low-fat chocolate milk is nature's recovery drink for athletes. Carbs and protein, all kinds of good stuff in there.
Fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't love chocolate milk?
No, for sure. When I throw my ish around at the gym, I love to come back and chug some chocolate milk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's got as much – I'm looking at a fact sheet here about chocolate milk, and this is amazing.
You look very natural in your knowledge.
Well, I needed some of these facts because I wasn't aware of this. It has as much calcium.
There are so many facts about milk and its wonderful benefits to the body that it does, in fact, require a sheet to keep them all straight.
Yes. Okay. Can I give you some of these now? It has as much calcium as 10 cups of raw spinach. What? As much potassium as a banana and as much vitamin A as 2 boiled eggs. That's incredible. WinnersDrinkMilk.com if you want to check that out. I'm going to step outside of stick and ball sports, and you were there to see it.
I just finished a bunch of spinach and bananas.
With the Harvest GP, not only the Harvest GP Friday, Saturday, but then the endurance race yesterday at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But
Over the weekend.
My winner of the week, Winners Drink Milk winner of the week, a guy that has chugged milk. He didn't do it yesterday because it's not per tradition for the road course, but Will Power, who I think, Jake, we were so obsessed with the fact that he had never won the 500, and we focused on that once he won, it kind of became old news. And secondly, I think his career has somewhat been overshadowed by coinciding almost directly with Scott Dixon's. But I think we really need to appreciate how great of a career Will Power has had. He's nearing his 40th birthday now. He's now had 5 wins in Indianapolis, 4 on the road course, 1, of course, in the 500. And he's cruising towards, how about this, his 11th straight top 5 points finish.
Yeah, that's
11th straight. I mean, it's remarkable the consistency that he's had.
And I can't recall if it's tied or surpassed Al Unser on the all-time wins list.
36, I think he's at now.
Yeah, by winning at Indy. He's got, 61 career poles. He won from pole and led all 75 laps. 2 good races, the Harvest Grand Prix, actually. I thought both races were very enjoyable. Rinus VeeKay and Colton Herta put on a really good show in race number 1, even though Joseph Newgarden ended up winning. But it was a good weekend, so that's a good call. I will take, for my Winners Drink Milk winner of the week, I'm going to go with Jimmy Butler because of the fact, as you had mentioned, Derek, here's a guy that comes into the NBA Finals. He's played, when Jimmy Butler was, I think it was when he was with Minnesota, in the brief time that he was there, and he had a cup of coffee with the Timberwolves, which I hope he added milk for. And during that time, a lot was made about the fact that he really challenged his teammates and kind of went off and was labeled as a malcontent. And I think what we're seeing now is that Jimmy Butler really is the kind of guy that has that kind of a drive that if you get the right guys around him, you can really get on the back of. And he knew his team was up with their back against the wall, down 2-0, with two of their key parts and best players out, and he rises to the occasion with a triple-double and a 40-point game in the NBA Finals to make it 2-1 now. I don't think that means Miami wins the series, but kudos to him for rising up when he needed to.
Yeah, just imagine, given his talent, if Paul George had Jimmy Butler's attitude. Because that's, Paul George is a guy that just talks. Jimmy Butler goes out there and he rips your freaking throat out of your neck. That dude is a killer.
He is.
I love Jimmy Butler now,
yeah,
man.
I mean, it's hard not to.
Jimmy. I loved him in Chicago, and then he had kind of those wilderness years in Minnesota, and then remember he was calling out teammates, and everybody was like anti-Jimmy Butler. And then
wasn't he in Philly for like
he had the 1 year in Philly,
right?
I think.
If that. I don't even think it was a full year. But
was that a trade deadline deal?
That may be.
You know, the 2019 NFL, NBA, any sports that happened in the before times feel like 100 years ago, don't they?
No, you're right.
Because of what we've kind of gone through here in 2020.
You're right. The NBA season included. I mean, going to a Pacer game in early March feels like 7 seasons ago.
That's right. Yeah, remember we were both at Victor Oladipo's return game, and I came down to sit in the nice seats with you and Shannon. For those that don't know, Jake has second row seats.
I don't.
For the Pacers game. He actually has a driver.
I do not.
And has a car service that takes him to Pacers games. And you let me come down with you. And it was right after we got let go, and we security actually made me.
I felt sorry for you, Derek.
Security made me leave because they were worried about so many people coming up to us and interrupting the game right after we let go. Also, I didn't have a ticket for my seat. So that was the other thing that they made me leave with.
The 12-year-old with his dad from like Westfield who actually sits in those seats came down and we gave him.
Really pushy.
My mask?
This generation of kids, I don't know what we're doing, but a 12-year-old shouldn't talk to me just because I'm sitting in your seat. Like, give me a chance to get out of your seat. You know what I mean? Like, I thought he was a little bit mouthy.
Well, he didn't realize you're not 12.
Oh, he didn't realize who I was.
Okay.
And I almost had to drop a.
I liked when he said, "Can you stand up out of my seat?" And you said, "I am."
Okay, that's not an accurate portrayal of what happened.
Uh-huh.
We got Biter Bowl Bleep to get to as well. Biter Bowl Bleep brought you our friends at the Shop Indy. We just told you all about them, theshopindy.com. If you're new to Biter Bowl Bleep, here's what we do. I give a statement, then Jake and I go back and forth whether we buy it or we think it's Bowl Bleep.
Do you know what television show character, speaking of milk, Derek, used to mix their milk with Pepsi? Popular television show character used to drink Pepsi and milk mixed together.
Who would do such a thing?
You don't know?
No idea.
How about I tell you on the other side?
Is it Captain Kangaroo or something else from the 1970s or whatever?
I'm impressed you knew Captain Kangaroo. It is not Captain Kangaroo.
Biter Bowl Bleep, Jake's 1970s pop culture factoid, and my
70s.
coat. All to get to when we come back and wrap up this edition of Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
At an Indiana dairy farm, long workdays stretch into more labor after sunset. A newborn calf needs watching. Barn needs cleaning. Tractor needs some handiwork for tomorrow's tasks. Just like in your own home, the day's chores are never done until the family beds down for the night. Dairy farmers and their families share the same dream with all of us, that what we all do is worthwhile. Bringing to market pure, safe, and healthy dairy foods is what they do, from Indiana's dairy families to ours every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
We're a different breed, aren't we? While others rest, we choose to work. Where others are content, we stay hungry. They may not see us coming, but we know exactly where we're going. You won't rest until you succeed. Neither will we.
Your life is on the go. Now your viewing habits can be on the go. With the ISC Sports Network app, your team is at your fingertips. You can download years' worth of content from the ISC Sports Network library. High school, college, special events, weekly and monthly shows, wherever you find your favorite app. And you can always find out more information at iscsportsnetwork.com.
Welcome back. It's Corey and Schultz.
What
Jake,
are you looking at
you're
me for?
supposed to do the WGU Indiana.
No, they said you were supposed to take it out.
No, that's not what happened.
Okay.
See,
so
this
I'm
is-
supposed to? Am I supposed to?
I've led a lot of these segments here, Jake.
Just so you know, it doesn't appear as though Derek and I were very ambitious there coming out of the break. But, ambition never sleeps, which is actually the moniker of WGU Indiana. That's correct. Just go to indiana.wgu.edu for the finest online degree that you can receive. Since 2010, WGU has been around in Indiana. And in celebration of their 10th year, they are awarding $10,000 in scholarships.
10
That
fat
is correct.
stacks.
Accredited online university,
10 Gs.
WGU Indiana. Ambition never sleeps. There you go.
Can we ask, I don't know if we'll have to go through Corey or maybe we can just go through all the way up to the chancellor at WGU Indiana. We have great relationships with all of them. Can we ask them if we can just get 10 fat stacks up here on the desk? Remember that with Lance Stevenson? Do you remember that from a couple of years
do.
ago? Where, if you guys don't remember this, the NBA came in, I think, to all 30 teams, and they had like a financial advisor
seminar.
or whatever. Yeah, come in and talk to the guys about managing your money and all that. And Lance was in his, I think, second year as a Pacer, and he took a bunch of Instagram photos with him with like stacks of $100 bills like he's answering a phone.
They had the money there to show how
Yeah.
quickly you can go through $1 million.
Yeah, and it was amazing.
So he took a bunch
Of
of photos.
all the amazing things that Lance Stevenson gave us during his time here in Indiana, that was number one to me.
Boy, people still clamor for him to come back and become a Pacer.
Well, it's funny because when he exited, everybody was like, oh, he's the reason why. He was blamed. He took a lot of the blame
He
for
did.
why the 2014 season fell apart, and really it was never Lance's fault. That was always ridiculous.
Roy Hibbert, is that the culprit?
Roy Hibbert's mental breakdown certainly played a big part
And
of that.
the rumors you've heard about that are not true.
But I think really what we've come to learn, and I didn't mean to make this about a Pacers team from 6 years ago, but I think what we've learned in the aftermath is that the Danny Granger trade really fractured the locker room.
Right.
And I don't think Larry Bird was expecting that. I think it was a sign of betrayal, or the players in the locker room
I
felt
think Larry
betrayed
Bird-
by letting Granger go.
Derek, I've always felt that Larry Bird was guilty of one thing, and you see this a lot. I think when players that are great players become coaches, it's difficult for them, and I've asked a lot of players turned coaches this question. It's difficult sometimes for them to realize that what was instinct for them is not always instinct for every player. And Larry Bird, in terms of trying to feel out and gauge the mood of a locker room, is always going off of, when Larry Bird was a player, he was the straw mixing the drink. And so I don't know that he necessarily has had a full grasp on, when he says, well, the guys are going to get used to this kind of a thing. Well, yeah, because you were the one helping influence those decisions through the course of your career as a player because you were the guy.
Mm-hmm.
So how are guys that are not the guy going to respond? And I think he misfired on some of those things.
He hasn't shown a lot of tact, I think, with his either what he said or his actions, when sometimes as an executive it requires a lot of tact because there are some very fragile
I feel
egos.
like I'm sitting too low in this seat.
It's time for Bite or
How do
Bold
I raise
Bleep.
this up? How do I-
Brought to you
how
by
do I
our friends at
raise
the
that?
shop. Didn't you say something about Pepsi and milk? Can we get to
did.
that
I'm-
before Bite or Bold Bleep?
I noticed that I was sitting.
Because I have
I
exciting
appeared
news
shorter
about the
than you.
shop and a new promo code.
Laverne from Laverne and Shirley. Which one was Laverne? Penny Marshall? Or was she Shirley? She was Laverne, right? Yeah, she had the L on the sweater. Laverne from Laverne and Shirley used to enjoy a refreshing mixture of Pepsi Cola and milk. By the way, you can enjoy a wonderful
Is
mixture
that-
of Elmo Cola right
yeah.
here.
Hold
Fill your
on,
glass
hold
with
on.
ice. Add 2 ounces of St. Elmo bourbon right here.
Is that the
Fill
show
the rest with
where she throws her hat up in the air?
No, that's the Mary Tyler
We're
Moore show.
gonna make
No,
it
that's Mary
after
Tyler Moore.
all.
Laverne and Shirley, they have the glove on the bottles of beer going past at the Milwaukee Brewery.
And one of them's a genie, right?
No, that's I Dream of Jeannie. That's Larry Hagman was in that. That's I Dream of Jeannie you're thinking of. So just so you know.
They have a pitchfork.
No, that's Green Acres. Green Acres.
Okay,
is
I don't
the
know.
place
I don't
for
know
me.
Laverne and
Okay.
Shirley. I'm not familiar
I
with that.
get allergic smell.
I know
Hey,
Nick
that was
at Night.
Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Nick at Night used to come on. I remember.
Clearly.
And there were some shows in there that I didn't. There was a talking horse, which was
Yeah,
kind of
Mr.
weird.
Ed. He
Yeah.
was wonderful. If you play the Mr. Ed theme song backwards, it actually says Horse of the Devil.
Bite or Bull Bleep.
Did you know that?
Brought to you by the Shop Indie, and we have an exciting
And I'm
new
sure
promo
they're thrilled
code.
to be on board.
Well, they're thrilled to be on board with us. TheShopIndie.com. How about this for a promo code? You go on there, you order one of these great T-shirts or anything that they have at TheShopIndie.com.
What is this?
Use our promo code Tutties.
Tutties.
Tuddies.
What is Tutties? Nobody's even going to use that because they don't even remember what it is.
Oh, you're going to
They're
remember.
like, what is Tutties?
20% off.
What is it?
Touchdowns. But it's a hip term. It's hip slang for touchdowns.
Okay.
Like Tom Brady threw 5 tutties yesterday.
Folks, I hope you use the code word Tutties to get your 20% off at the shop because I can assure you, once they see this segment we're about to do, it might be the last time they're on board.
Mo Alley Cox has had a couple of tutties this year.
They have a T-shirt, Mo Alley Cox T-shirt at the shop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Use the promo code Tutties, and you can save 20% off that T-shirt.
Okay, what is Biter Bull?
Statement 1. Well, here's what we do. I give a statement. Jake and I go back and forth whether we buy it or it's Bull Bleep. Nobody's new to this by now. It's a segment that's sweep the,
right there.
the
It says
entire
buy
country.
it or Bull Schultz.
No, that's we actually talked about that. Greg and I are going to have a conversation.
Okay.
We'll get that in post. We'll make sure that we edit that in post.
Okay.
The Colts will win the AFC South. Kind of a 2-team race now with the Texans 0-4 and the Jaguars whatever. Buy it or Bull Bleep.
I hate to give this an incomplete, Derek, but we just don't know what's going to happen with Tennessee.
No. Well, hold on. The segment is called Buy it or Bull Bleep.
What if
So
Tennessee?
it's very straightforward. Do you buy that the Colts are going to win the AFC South, or is it Bull Bleep?
I think the bigger question is the season going to run uninterrupted?
Let's assume that the season does not run uninterrupted.
Okay.
Or wait, no, that it does run uninterrupted.
Right.
16-game season.
Okay.
With what we've seen through the first
Yes,
quarter
I
of
believe the
year.
Colts.
Okay. See,
They do
It's not
have
that
some
hard.
difficulty on their schedule upcoming, but I believe the Colts will win the AFC South.
I do too, even though
Clearly a 2-team race.
I think that I was short-selling Tennessee a little bit. Their start has impressed me. It's only 3 games, and we're taping this on Monday, so we'll see what happens with their Week 4 game. So Tennessee technically has not completed the week yet, but I do think that the Colts are going to be good enough to win this division. Yes. In fact, that was my expectation going in, and it continues to be my expectation. Statement 2, LeBron James and the Lakers winning the title should count just like every other year.
Sure.
Buy it or Bull Bleep.
I buy that.
No
100%.
asterisk?
No, because everybody had the opportunity.
I completely agree with you. I'm just saying that there are people that are going to put an asterisk on this. You know that, right?
Look, the only thing missing is home court. But is anybody pretending that Miami was going to be some massive home court advantage?
Yeah, and the Lakers, that made it harder for the Lakers to not have home court. Wouldn't you agree? It made it easier for Miami because they were a 5 seed.
Correct.
But it made it a lot tougher on LA.
You know, if home court was a factor, does Miami get past Boston? You know, there are a million ways you can play it. But everybody, whatever disadvantages or advantages are there by playing in the bubble, it is the same for all teams. And look, what the Lakers have done is impressive. But this is a team that was not together until the beginning of the year. But you have, probably 2 of the top 5 players in basketball on the same team.
And they're both playing really, really well.
And Rajon Rondo's playing well. He was a late throw-in that people were like, what? And he's done well.
No, you're right about that. Statement 3. I'm assuming you've seen this video. The Fleetwood Mac skateboarder dude made the best viral video in history.
Now, let me ask.
I can't stop watching it.
It's just a guy on a skateboard drinking
cranberry juice cocktail, I think.
Yeah. And he's listening to a Fleetwood Mac
got
song.
like he's got a head tattoo on the side of his head.
He's not really riding a skateboard, right?
Oh, no, he was skateboarding. Yeah.
Who's videotaping it?
He's doing a selfie. He's got cranberry juice cocktail in this hand, and he's LIVIN, baby.
But do you think that he's just doing that in front of a green wall?
No.
How do you know?
Because apparently he needed to raise $10,000 just to get out of his brother's house.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, so he ended up getting online donations, and he got an RV, but now he's got 10 billion TikTok followers because it's this huge viral video. Fleetwood Mac even
I saw that.
Is it Mick Fleetwood?
Mick Fleetwood, yeah. He did the same.
And he's the drummer, right?
But he's not actually on a skateboard, right?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't watch his video 100 times.
Here's the problem with it, Derek. The problem with this is now we're going to have 7 idiots that are going to get massively hurt or injured because they're going to go out and try to do this.
I just bought a skateboard on Amazon.
Oh, did you just
this video
did you
clearly,
ship it to yourself?
I already had rollerblades, but I didn't have a skateboard. This video clearly has a shelf life, so I need to get this vid in. I need to get it out there like tonight. So hopefully it'll
See,
come.
you're going to be the classic example of a guy that's going to go out and try to get on your skateboard and get cute. And it's going to be a disaster.
I should have shipped it same day because the chances are I could have touched my own package.
He wasn't okay. Really?
But instead I did.
Most people are doing that around the time they have a skateboard. The best video on the internet is not the guy of the last week or so. It's the surfing bulldog.
No. I knew you were going to say this because you hate everything that people enjoy.
The
and that is
surfing
popular.
bulldog is awesome.
I don't even know what you're talking about. The Fleetwood Mac skateboarder dude is the best viral video ever.
It's not
made.
better than have you seen the skateboarding bulldog?
Buy it.
The skateboarding bulldog's cooler.
Who else is cool?
Because he gets off the skateboard and then he gets back on. He's smart enough. What do we have?
I told you we're wrapping up the show here because Bite or Bull Bleep is done after my definitive victory over you. I got a new jacket, and my wife made fun of me because I bought this in July at an outlet mall in Tennessee.
That's actually pretty smart. Buying in July.
And it was 60% off.
I went to a Reds game in July once. It was like 100 degrees, and I bought a Reds coat for like $30, but I had to carry it around the stadium the whole game.
And it fits like a glove, and it's a good brand, North Face. It's a good, it'll last me a long time. But she made fun of me because I bought it in July,
let me see the.
It's technically.
Where did you get this?
North Face. At a North Face outlet in Tennessee.
In Tennessee. Mm-hmm. So the tag here. It says extra. Oh, boys extra large.
Yeah, it's a youth XL. But I think
now wait a minute.
It might just run large.
This is actually a North Faco.
No, it's real.
No, it's FACO.
It's real. I got it from the real outlet.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Can I try it on?
I don't want you to stretch out the threads. No, please don't. I told you no. Did you not hear? And you're violating my 6 feet rule. Oh, come on, man. Don't zip it. You're going to break it.
No, I'm not going to break it. What do you mean?
No.
It's not terrible, right?
Yeah, it's too much for you. See, doesn't it fit pretty well? It's a little short on the arms.
You think?
A little bit.
I'm like Mr. Roboto here.
Yeah.
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
Well, one thing I noticed for you is that you don't need – I need the extra space around the bicep area, and you don't really need that. But I needed that just to let it stretch out a little bit. It's a great coat.
Take your little Garanimals coat. Your North Faco.
That was a good show today. I think we need to clean up some things like Bull Schultz, and we'll get all of that in post. Maybe some of the Fozzie Bear stuff we'll get rid of. But we'll come back next week after I think what's going to be a really interesting game against the Browns because this is the type of offense that we can really see where the Colts defense is. The Browns aren't a perfect team by any means. They might actually be a playoff team for the first time since 2002, I think.
Good test. Try to shut down
test.
Odell Beckham Jr.
Thanks to all our great sponsors. WGU Indiana, St. Elmo's Steakhouse,
American
the
Dairy
Shop
Association. Whoops. Winners Drink Milk.
Did we get everybody? I think we did. And Greg Rakestraw
Indiana,
and the rest of the crew here at ISC Sports Network. We're back with more next week. We'll see you guys then. I'll put my mask on.
The drive, the take, fouled, and it goes!
Lobbing it to the back of the end zone. They're going to say it's a touchdown!
Left foot gets through. Goal for Vargas. Hamilton will score!
At an Indiana dairy farm, long workdays stretch into more labor after sunset. A newborn calf needs watching, barn needs cleaning, tractor needs some handiwork for tomorrow's tasks. Just like in your own home, the day's chores are never done until the family beds down for the night. Dairy farmers and their families share the same dream with all of us, that what we all do is worthwhile. Bringing to market pure, safe, and healthy dairy foods is what they do, from Indiana's dairy families to ours every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
We're a different breed, aren't we? While others rest, we choose to work. Where others are content, we stay hungry. They may not see us coming, but we know exactly where we're going. You won't rest until you succeed. Neither will we.